All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another video. Who says that? Bruchim Aboyim. Welcome, everyone. I wanted to talk today about Jewish identity and what is called anti-Semitism. I've said in many videos before, I don't like that term anti-Semitism. I prefer the term Judeophobia. If they want to speak of Islamophobia, I'll speak of Judeophobia. The reason for that is that the concept of quote-unquote Semitism and anti-Semitism is really a Nazi idea. I mean, it predates the Nazi Party, but it has its roots in the secular German intellectuals, quote-unquote, who inspired the Nazis. The whole idea of Jewish identity being something that someone who has no connection to Judaism can have for themselves is essentially a Nazi idea. It's a racist idea. Classically, the Jewish community would say, yes, somebody, the religious Jews could say, yes, this person is unfortunately a Jewish heretic or a Jewish apostate. They're not a Gentile, but they are also not part of the Jewish community. They have no right to identify themselves as Jews and to say, that they are somehow representing the Jewish community. The irony is that today you'll have people who are apostates and say something that a pious Jew has no right to represent the Jewish community. And the truth is, nobody has the right to represent the Jewish community. We don't have, as a whole, we don't have a Sanhedrin. There is no unified Jewish community. There are many different Jewish communities that have certain things in common and will, have a certain amount of fellowship, just like there are many Christian communities and many Muslim communities, many Buddhist communities, many Hindu communities that are not unified in any way. And so too, there are various Jewish communities. And, in the Jeffersonian sense, I don't have the right really to tell you what you want to identify yourself as. But I do have the right to say that I don't recognize you as such, perhaps. And that goes along many different lines. There's what we call someone who's halachically Jewish, meaning according to Jewish law, they are a Jew, even if they are an apostate Jew, meaning they have no right to represent the Jewish community. And then they have people who are, maybe not halachically Jews, but identify as Jewish, and maybe share some things with us religiously. And perhaps, our community should make an effort to try to bring those people into our fold through halachic conversion. I do believe, the example that I think of particularly are the black Jewish communities that have disavowed any connection to Christianity, and in the way that they understand, try to keep Jewish law, and quite often do keep Jewish law properly, but we don't know anything of their ancestry, and so therefore they should undergo a conversion the way that Caspar Hunet did. It was the conservative movement that did that for him. Really, there should be Orthodox rabbis reaching out to these communities. I mean, I have engaged to a certain extent. I sat on Besdin for groups of, in this community. And this is, different than the Ethiopian communities, although sometimes some of these communities do identify in some ways with the Ethiopian Jewish communities, even though that association as a bloodline might be totally specious. we shouldn't be so hooked up on bloodlines in Judaism. We should be hooked up on faith. We should be hooked up on piety. We should be hooked up on devotion, or at least a desire to be connected in some way to our community in a faith-based manner, as opposed to just saying, well, this person's mother's Jewish, so therefore they're Jewish and this and that, or maybe this, and the whole thing with the Moranos and this and that. If they actually want to practice Judaism, we have no way of knowing what was 500 years ago. Do they, of verifying their yichus and so forth. So go through a gir l'chumrah. And then you're part of the Klal Yisrael Mimanavshach, whatever the law is. But that's not really what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about today is, of course, everything that's going on today in the Democratic Party with Ilhan Omar, and also with some other issues that have come up. These questions of dual loyalty. And some other issues of Jewish identity in general. One thing that, certain things that just came up personally, discussions with my wife, or things, people know I have a wedding ministry, so I get the leads from different wedding websites like thumbtack.com and gigmasters.com and WedPlan, and I don't know if WedPlan is still around. Some of these different, there's the one big one which I don't get that many leads from, forgot what it's called, Wedding Wire, but I get a lot of leads from thumbtack.com. I get probably 20 or 30 leads a day. Since most of them are on Shabbos, I don't even think of them, and I like to think that when I think about it in hindsight, although it's just totally natural, is that there must be some reward that I'm receiving just honoring Shabbos by not by just totally ignoring those wedding leads that are all on Shabbos. Although now that I work full time, I don't have very many that I could do at all, but once in a while I see one that might be near where I work, and it's after work, or it's near enough that after work I can make it there, and these types of things. But I do work 6 days a week, and really, and then Shabbos I'm in shul. I don't get paid for being there, but it's what it makes it possible for me to do weddings, because I have a title of assistant rabbi in a regularly established congregation. So that makes me an official clergy in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, although perhaps we could say the prison congregation is also along those lines. Anyway, I got a few wedding requests recently that asked, it was two yesterday, that specifically asked for Jewish. They said, we're not religious, don't think we're religious, well, we're not one of those, but it means a lot to us that, and I don't even know if both partners are Jewish, or if even either of them are actually halachically Jewish. Maybe one of them just has a Jewish father, who knows, and they say it means a lot to us that we should be able to break a glass. Will you let us do that now? Which wedding officiant that you're going to hire on thumbtack.com is not going to let? I mean, people know my father wasn't Jewish, and my parents were married by a justice of the peace, but at an actual wedding in the park, my mother's parents didn't come to the wedding, but my father's parents did. They were just going to elope, but to honor my father's parents, they had a little wedding in the park with guests, and they got dressed up and everything, and so my father broke a glass. It was a judge who officiated, but he broke a glass to make it quote unquote somewhat Jewish. Do you think the judge really cares one way or another. You're going to break a glass or not break a glass, Who cares? But people who have no connection to Yiddishkeit. I mean, my mother grew up in a frum home, but these people and my mother is religious in her way. She's not frum, but she's she keeps Pesach, she keeps Yom Kippur. She has her devotions that she does. But again, these types of questions in general, we have to think about where do these feelings come from? And people talk about the Pintelid. There's that Jewish spark that wakes up a Jew and has him remember that there's something Jewish inside of you, and then the thing is, so maybe the kids will be maybe the kids will be from, maybe the grandkids will be from, whatever. But the thing you have to remember with that is, anybody can be a frum Jew. Anybody from any race, doesn't matter what your ancestry is, can convert to Judaism and be a pious Jew, as long as you're going to do it in the proper way and everything. You can do it. It's not that hard. As long as you're willing to keep Torah mitzvahs and you believe in the Yud Gimel Ikrim and so forth. Any three rabbis should be able to put you in the mikveh. The fact that they don't, that's the rabbi's fault. They're doing something wrong, because it's a mitzvah. It's mitzvah al dayanim. It's a mitzvah to do it. They don't want to do that mitzvah because maybe the rabbis are racist, but it's al pi halacha, according to Jewish law, and a lot of rabbis are ignorant about what Geirus is all about and so forth. But more and more people are being open-minded to it. We waste all this money running after Jews. I mean, obviously, it all has to do with Zionism and everything. All the money that's spent on birthright, they couldn't give a damn if these kids wind up keeping Shabbos. All they care about is maybe they have more cannon fodder for their IDF. That's what it's all about. But where does this come from? I'm personally, I know a lot of people look, it's so beautiful. Even this person has no connection to Yiddishkeit, but he wants to break a glass in the chuppah. Has no idea what it means, this and that, probably not even have a chuppah, but whatever, the canopy, but they want to break a glass. That means so much. It's so important to us to have to break it. I've dealt with some of these people. They're so rude and nasty and hateful. They hate Yiddishkeit. But they want to break a glass, Remember, there was one, whatever, I'm not going to talk about. I don't want to talk about this nonsense. It's sickening what goes on in our organized secular Jewish community. It's not my Jewish community, but I was, when I was the Rav in Richmond, because I was a Rav of this Medrash, a Rav of a shul, I was on the executive board, of the Jewish Federation, whatever, and I was invited to come to meetings, and I would speak up, and I would often speak up about, I would be the lone dissenting voice, at least making that much of a Kiddush Hashem against the nonsense. And the Richmond wasn't that bad as Jewish federations go. Most of them are much worse. But still, there would be certain things that were just, to me, unconscionable. That's how these things work, in America. And I'm happy that we have the freedom in America, but the problem is a lot of these people are the ones who want to take away our freedoms. And that comes to my other issue that I want to talk about. Now a lot of people say, my wife asked me about this, she didn't understand, she read someone, I don't remember who it was saying that this Canard of dual loyalty, this anti-Semitic Canard of dual loyalty is centuries old. And she said, the modern state of Israel is only, 70 years old. Where do you get centuries from? And now I said, so maybe they said, the Jews, they were loyal to Russia or this and that. And the thing was Russia said the Jews were loyal to Turkey. That's why the Balatanya was put into prison in Petersburg, because because he would send alms to the Jews in the Holy Land, which was under Ottoman rule, and so they said he was a spy for the Ottomans, and the Russian Empire and the Ottoman Empire were at odds with each other. So yes, this Canard, this false Canard, goes back years, and I think we should say the same thing. Me as a Jew, I can't speak for all Jews, and I don't speak for all Jews, but me, myself, Israel does not represent me. I have a religious devotion to the Holy Land, but I have no more of a connection to Netanyahu than I would have to Suleiman and than any of my ancestors in Hungary or in Germany and Poland or anywhere else. Or even, I had ancestors who lived in the Holy Land. Reb Levi Yerushalmi and his father, I think Reb Yitzchak, the name was Yerushalmi. He was the Rav of Serbia, of Belgrade, and also of Temeshvar, and he was one of my ancestors, and his name is Yerushalmi. The family came from Yerushalayim, and then they came to Europe from Yerushalayim, but more recently, within the last 500 years maybe, I can find one ancestor from the Holy Land. But they also, their connection to Suleiman was that they lived under his rule, and they had respect, or whoever, not Suleiman at that time, whoever was the mufti of Yerushalayim, or whatever, I don't know, whoever would be the leader of the Turks, the Ottoman Empire. They were loyal to the Ottoman Empire because they lived under the Ottoman Empire, and if they lived somewhere else, to me, though, as an American, I like the ideology of America. If I happen to live in some other country, I would be respectful and loyal to their laws. But as an American, I consider myself an American first and foremost, to the point whereas if I were born in some other country, I would strive to come to America, to immigrate to America. I would invest the thousands of dollars it costs to be an American, because I believe in the ideas of America. I think the same way we talk about that. Now the thing is again, just to conclude. So then the question is Ilhan Omar anti-Semitic? I mean, to be honest, when you look at the face that she makes when she's talking to Elliot Abrams, you can see the hatred and the bigotry that's in her eyes. I mean, I don't, and the condescending way. And then it's obviously that she hates him because he's a Jew, not just because, not for any other reason. There's a deep-seated emotional hatred that she has. That's first and foremost, but more than that, the very fact that she is a Democrat shows that she has no respect for the Abrahamic tradition that Jews, Christians, and Muslims share. And so, hiding behind her hijab, I consider her a fake Muslim. All the things that the Democratic Party stands for are haram in the Muslim faith. Abortion on demand into the 9th month, for if the mother's life is not in danger, just like in Judaism, it's just like it's asur in Judaism, it's haram in Islam. And certainly to let a baby die who survived an abortion is haram according to Islam, and asur according to Judaism, and it's forbidden according to Christianity. So all the three Abrahamic faiths, the beliefs of the same thing, the redefinition of marriage, goes without saying. I think Islam is probably the most strict when it comes to of all three of those religions in their view of the redefinition of marriage, and they're unabashed about it. Although really their views are the same as the views of Judaism and Christianity. But they're unabashed about it. And so to sit in the caucus with these people who support things that are haram, to me, she is a fake Muslim. You know, and yes, Islam, when it comes to abortion, is more liberal than Christianity, and probably just about the same as Judaism. But that being said, doesn't change the fact that the beliefs of the Democrat Party are totally against the values of both Islam and of Judaism and of Christianity, except, you know, some very liberal, phony, I would say, expressions of these faiths. So, thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe.